Hi, Sergeant Stepdad here. There's a few things I would like to address involving the LGBTQ issues. The main reason a lot of people are having issues with this group of people is because of how much the media has been pushing it in our faces. Well, I'm just going to say our faces because I'm not in the LGBTQ. I mean, when stuff like this was not being shoved down our throats every day, all day, there was less aggression or less backlash towards this. But now that it's becoming every day, people are getting tired of it, and that's why you have like things like the boycott of Bud Light and that kind of stuff. Now there is some things I can agree to when it comes to the LGBTQ stuff, but this is where my limits would be. Okay, like the transition of kids. I don't think that should happen. And the lowest age I will go, I would agree to, would be 16. And I have a kid that's part of this group, and I mean, even my wife has some standing in it. But like the age of 25, where you're actually able, where you're fully matured, and that's proof. But a lot of states have the age of consent as 16, or at least, and you can make arguments for 18, but this allows the child to more fully understand the consequences, and I put consequences of their decision, because there's times where these individuals will not be able to have kids if they decide to actually have their own biological kids in the future. And they may be more mentally prepared to handle the consequences, because there has been issues where suicides in this group have gone up because of individuals regretting the transitioning. And by this I mean, when I'm seeing this kind of the transitioning, I mean the medical transitioning. You can do like the gender affirming care, which is okay, let them grow their hair out or wear makeup or wear dresses. That's fine at young ages. Now, let's go to classrooms. I have had actually an agreement from these two that when it comes to teaching it the LGBTQ stuff would be set in like a sex education class and anti-bullying lessons. And then if a student comes up to a teacher and asks questions, that is okay. And instead of having a teacher lead like a student organization for the LGBTQ, it's a student-led organization. That way, you don't have these people on this side, on the other side that do not support this group saying, "Oh, these teachers are pushing it." If it's the students, it these other parents cannot say it's teachers pushing it on the students in the school. Okay. Now, let's talk about pride events like parades and drag shows. I don't think drag shows should be using public funds. So a school shouldn't be paying for a drag show in the school, or just public funds should not be paying for. It's like taxpayer money. And there's a lot of upsetting things about this in my area about money following the kids to even private schools. But what it is it opens up a lot of things. So if the student's not going to a public school and going to a private school, the taxpayers' money is going towards the taxes that are going towards where that student is. But I believe that if public schools should be using the funding to actually do teaching and also protecting the students. Then we come to what is known as, I'm just going to call it, children drag shows. Why would you have a 7-year-old up on stage twerking? Because that seems more like exploitation of a minor than supporting the LGBTQ community. I mean, if it was more like a fashion type drag show, that would be different, where they walk down the runway. But if they're just dancing and like a normal drag show where people tip them, that would seem like exploitation. And exploitation of a minor and sexual abuse. You're sexualizing the minor. And I have it on a lot. I've heard a lot of it on from one of my children, the child that's part of the LGBTQ, saying that the LGBTQ does not support pedophiles / minor attractive people, because that's what minor attractive people are. They are pedophiles. Now let's go to the parades. I don't mind LGBTQ having their pride parade, but there's some things that probably should not be in it. Like people running around bondage equipment or nude, sexual items. Because let's put it this way. That kind of puts people off. Okay, you have drag queens walk down the street in dresses, or okay, something like that. But bondage equipment, assless chaps, kind of stuff that you usually wouldn't see someone wearing walking down the street. Now, there is this thing I have with this whole misuse of pronouns. I mean, I've heard stories of people being sued because they misuse someone's pronouns. It'd be like someone like a Christian suing a Muslim for calling them infidel. It's just a word. And I think if you're going to sue someone, you have to be able to prove actual malice. Because if they just accidentally misgender you and you sue them, you'll end up looking like the bad guy. Then let's go to trans activists. If they violate the law, they should be held accountable. And if they're calling for violence, then they shouldn't have any firearms, and should be on a watch list. Because, and this actually goes for anyone. You call for violence, you gotta be held accountable. I mean, this country used to be live and let live, and now everyone's just at everyone's throats. And the main reason why it's becoming that way is because both sides are not willing to reach a compromise on these topics, and there never be hung between the two sides of this issue or any issue. When both sides come to the table unless they can come to the table with, we can fix the rift between us if we find a way to compromise. I mean, now the Second Amendment is a lot more difficult because a lot of things that happened in the past involved in it. And I'm probably going to do that at another time. I mean, if we could find more people willing to, on both sides, to come to a center ground on this topic that will be in office instead of pushing for what they want, then maybe we could find a way to move forward as a country, as a whole. And I will see you next time.